Okay, Sistas fans, now with the excitement, and oh man, it sounds messed up, but hey, I'm only talking about the 100 plus comments on my recent upload about the vow. Well, I would say low key, but I think it is very obvious that he is confirming Zach is going to go through an arc of grief. And based on his wording, it definitely seems like Karen is going to lose the baby that belongs to him. And as a result, there's no longer going to be a tether between Karen and Zach, and no need. There's going to be no co-parenting and whatnot. And this is what works best for everybody. I know on the flip side of that coin, people are talking about, like, well, Jeremy, yeah, maybe that could be why Fatima leaves, because remember, grief can bring people together and stuff like that. And, Zach could be lashing out, and that makes a lot of sense. It could happen. But really, one comment stood out to me, and that's a person who talked about, it's like, well, Fatima did say a few seasons ago to Andy that, she's hurting because she wanted to be, the only woman that Zach had children by. But somebody responded saying, what about Michael? And I followed that up by saying that, what the story should have done and it could have done, to be completely honest, is go the route of successful co-parenting. Because I think back to what was it, like season 6, I believe. It was season 6, right? That was the season where the mid-season finale was Karen shooting Fatima, but then it turned out just to be a daydream. But yeah, this was when Zach was telling Fatima that he wanted to fight for custody, but caught Fatima completely off guard when he mentioned he was doing full custody. And in that moment, I'm like, yeah, Zach, I understand what you're doing, but you need to talk that over with your woman. Like, that's a big step to get full custody of a child. That's going to change everything. So again, you're not single. You need to discuss these things with your partner. And Fatima said that, oh, I thought you were fighting for like joint custody and whatnot. It's like, can't you help out Heather? Like, help her get on her feet, aka just, give her some money and whatnot. But to be fair to Fatima, this was before her and Zach knew the just awful, and I shudder to even say living conditions, because that boy, I mean, between the boyfriends running through the house, beating on Michael, and then didn't she have him like taped up to the shower wall or something? Look, it's been a while since I watched those episodes, but yeah, didn't she have him like taped up in the shower to prevent him from like running around or some stuff like that? And it was just awful. So at that point, yeah, I mean, like, she's an awful parent. But given that, okay, and look, this is going to be a lot to take in, so let me try to break this down. First of all, I'm not saying get rid of Michael. I'm not saying that at all. Number 2, that is Zach's son. There are some people who are like, well, they need to do another DNA test and then confirm that Hayden is the parent. No. Michael is Zach's son, whether you like it or not. That's a fact. But I wouldn't be mad if the story was written in a way where Heather changed her life around because she actually wants to be a good parent for Michael. Maybe maybe through word of mouth, she's heard about how well he's doing and whatnot, and that, helped her get better. Because think of it this way. So season 6 ended, I believe it ended with Zach and Fatima taking Michael from the apartment and, jumping in the car. Then we jump ahead 3 months, because there was a 3-month time jump between season 6 and 7, right? And during that time, if Heather was truly trying to like get custody, because I think at the time Michael was in like child protective service during that 3-month gap, because Andy was leading the charge helping Zach get custody. So during that time, it wouldn't make sense for Heather to just continue in her current lifestyle if she's trying to get custody. So it seems to me that during this time, maybe her legal advisor or whoever told her, like, look, all the claims that the father of your son has been making, it's not looking good, Heather, so you really need to do better. And then the fact that she lost the case is one thing. And then remember, in season 7, that entire season covered the course of several weeks, if not a month. I think I remember saying that it wouldn't surprise me if that season in total covered the course of like a month and a half max. Then let's not forget season 8. We had the episode where we jumped ahead a full month. So you could almost argue that from the time that Zach and Fatima took Michael from Heather's apartment at the end of season 6, there has probably been close to a 6-month gap, or, between that episode to where we are now at the beginning of season 9. So it could theoretically be written where Heather has, changed careers, maybe moved to a better neighborhood, surrounded herself, with better people. She's not having like these shady characters running through her apartment all hours of the night and whatnot. Perhaps Heather's going to be in a better place to where joint custody is possible. And I think this could work due to the fact that it would be a great way to allow Michael to have what Zach didn't, and that's a mother present in his life. Yes, I know Fatima's there, but I mean like the biological mom. Obviously, Gladys wasn't really fit to be a mom. Heather wasn't, but that doesn't mean it's too late for her to change. I mean, look, how many Tyler Perry plays and movies have we seen where a god-awful, addict or just an awful person goes through an arc and then they change for the better? Why not do that in the show? And then the whole reason I'm bringing this up is not because of the whole Karen losing Zach's baby thing. It's the fact that fans have been like, this was one of the biggest complaints of season 8. Where's Michael? Where's Michael? He was only like, when did he say chicken nuggets? Was that season 7 or 8? I think it was season 8 at the very beginning. And yeah, I think it was at the very beginning of season 8, because in season 7, they hired that nanny. Season 8, chicken nuggets. And then I remember one episode, it was in morning, Zach had walked Michael to the bus stop, and then he came back in to, look at the murder board. But of course, Michael was off screen. So here and there we hear things like, he's having a play date with this person, or he's, at after school or whatever like that. So this would be a great way to work it in where if Michael isn't on screen, it's because he's with Heather. But like I said, this could be done in a way that turns it around, because I think this would be Zach's way of redemption. Because let's be real, obviously Heather was a terrible, terrible mom. But remember, Zach hasn't always been the stand-up guy he is now. Yeah, he still has issues he's working through, but if we can see the redemption of the player, the cheater, and everything that Zach was, why not do the same thing for Heather? Heather doesn't have to be in every episode either. She can come back for a couple episodes and, explain everything. And look, Zach, I turn everything around for my son, and I'm not making $1 million or $100,000 a year, but I'm doing okay for myself to the point where I can provide a, good living space for him. So we don't have to go into the nasty details of child support. Maybe you can that deal you said about what was his deal, $2,000 or something like that. That could be helpful. But regardless, I just want to let you know I'm doing better. And is there any way we can do joint custody? Why not do that? I would like that. Because like I said, it would explain the long periods of time without Michael, and then allow for, certain plot points to play out without fans going, okay, but what about Michael? Because what was his name? Detective Morgan, right? Because Agent Watt was the dude who was leading the charge on finding the person that stabbed Gary. But Detective Morgan brought up the point of, now I wonder if the mother of your son, how would her and her legal team react if they found out the father who has custody of Michael is up for murder charges? See what I mean? In that situation, it just goes to show Heather is still a present figure in the universe, well, the Sisterverse. And if Zach screws up, then he's going to lose custody and then, have to pay child support. But why not write in a way where, while all the chaos has been going on with the main characters and whatnot, she's been in the background, changing for the better. Kind of Jasmine had to glow up and has been plotting in the background. Why not do the same thing for Heather, but in a positive light? So there you go. That's just my sales pitch on how the story could be written in a way where Michael could go away, but not permanently. He could still pop up every now and then over at Zach and Fatima's. It's just that it's joint custody. Plus, that would be an interesting form of, like, redeeming the storyline of, well, even though Karen and Zach won't be co-parenting, at least we see Zach is able to peacefully co-parent with the mother of his, son, Michael. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I think this is a healthy alternative from just writing out Michael completely. That's not Zach's son at all. No. All right, well, that's all I have, and I'll catch you all in the next video.